Hey guys, welcome back to the Homestead. It's towards the end of August, it's still hot, it's still muggy, and the HVAC unit went out this week. So today I'm going to show you how I diagnosed the problem and tracked it back to being the condenser fan motor. The first thing that I learned in troubleshooting a long time ago was always start with the simple things. So the first thing that I did was I went to the thermostat and checked that out. It had low battery, so I replaced the batteries on that and plugged it back in, but that didn't seem to do any good. I didn't think that it would, but just in case, I started there. The next thing that I did was I came outside and I checked the actual unit itself. Now, the blower motor was running, but the condenser and the fan, they were not running. They weren't working at all. And that would make sense why the air was warm and muggy inside, but not really very stale. So what I did is I took the cover off the unit and I checked and made sure that we had power everywhere that we were supposed to have power. Took my little tester and I waved it around in there, and it did look like we were getting power everywhere. Things just weren't kicking on. So after I got the two easiest things out of the way, the thermostat and the power situation, then I looked to see if there was any trouble lights. And it just so happens on this particular unit, there are two LEDs that can indicate trouble. Now that's encouraging. Only two LEDs means there's not very much that could go wrong, but I had no idea what they were telling me. So a quick Google search and I found the manual, and it said that the unit was in a high pressure switch lockdown mode, which wouldn't let the unit run, and it would have to require a power cycle for it to be cleared up. Now, I had no idea what could cause a high pressure switch lockout to occur, so another quick Google search later, and I found that that could happen when the condenser itself overheats or the coil is clogged up for some reason, whether it's dirty or something is happening to it. So I checked everything. It didn't look dirty at all. There was no debris stuck up in there, so I didn't think that that was the issue. So I did what any good technical repair technician would do. I just power cycled the whole thing. I unplugged the disconnect switch, plugged it back in, and now our system has a 5-minute delay to keep it from power cycling too quickly. So I sat there and I waited the 5 minutes for everything to kick on. The blower motor kicked on, the condenser kicked on, the fan kicked on. I thought everything was great until I noticed that the fan was blowing the wrong direction. You see, the air is supposed to flow in through the coils, going into the system, and then the air is supposed to pull warm air up out of the top of it. And instead what was happening is air was being sucked into the top, going down into the system, and it didn't really have anywhere for it to go. That should have been the first thing that clued me in. So what I did is I powered everything back down, and I decided that I'd give it a little bit of a boost to go in the right direction. Sometimes these motors, they can get a little finicky, and if something happens, they could start going the wrong direction. So I thought I'd plug it back in, waited the other 5 minutes, and when 5 minutes was just about up, I kind of gave it a boost in the correct direction so that the fan blades would go the direction that the arrow was pointing. And it worked. The fan motor kicked on, the condenser kicked on, everything was cooling like it was supposed to be, and everybody in the house was happy. 20 minutes later, everything in the house was hot and muggy and sticky once again. I came out here and I checked the system, and sure enough, the condenser and the fan motor were both off again. I took off the cover and that light was showing that it was in a high pressure switch lockout mode. Now I was just trying to get things cooled off, so I figured, well, if it worked last time, we'll see if it'll work again, just to kind of cool things off a little bit in the house. So I power cycled everything again, gave it a little kick, a little motivation in the right direction, and the fan didn't do anything. The fan didn't start up at all. It didn't matter how much I was spinning it. The condenser kicked on, the blower motor kicked on, but the fan wouldn't kick on. And eventually, the condenser itself actually shut off because it got too hot. I felt the top of the fan shroud where the fan motor's attached to, and it was super hot. And that right there told me that something was drastically wrong with the fan motor. What was happening is it was going into a thermal shutdown and wouldn't start back up until the fan motor itself had cooled off. And what that was ending up doing was causing the condenser to go into a high pressure switch failure because there was no air cooling off the coils. So what's the solution? Well, we have to replace the fan motor. Troubleshooting a situation is one of the things that my father taught me a long time ago. He owned a security company, and there was a lot of troubleshooting that went on. A lot like any other major system that you would put into a building or a home, there were problems that would come up. So my father taught me how to troubleshoot a problematic situation. The first thing that you do is you start with what is easy and obvious. Usually it's the most obvious thing that causes the problem. 80% of the time it's either something's not getting power, or something's been unplugged, or you didn't turn it on, or something really stupid that makes you feel embarrassed when you end up calling somebody to say, hey, what's going on? So that's the same kind of thing that I did with the HVAC unit. I checked the power, I checked the thermostat, checked the most obvious things first. Now, the next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna start eliminating possibilities. Now, he taught me with a long wire with a short somewhere in it. And you can spend hours and hours and hours tracking down one little problem in a wire that really could be anywhere, and chances are you could miss it. Or what you could do is you could take that 100-foot wire and you could cut it in half. And you could test the first half and see if you still have a short. And then you can test the second half. And if you still have a short, you know that the problem is in the second half. You just eliminated 50 feet from your problem. And then you take that second half, that 50 feet, and you do the same thing again. You take that 50 feet, you cut it in half, you test it on both ends. Now you're dealing with 25 feet of wire. All right, so now you've just eliminated a 100-foot problem to 25 feet, and you can do it again. You cut it in half again. Now you're dealing with 12 feet. Now 12 feet is a lot more manageable than 100 feet, and it takes a lot less time. So in 5 minutes, you've just done what would have taken you hours to do by eliminating the possibilities, eliminating what could be a problem, and knowing that, okay, this isn't a problem. I don't have to test all of this. All I have to do is test this little bit right here. And so that's kind of the way that I approach problem solving with anything. You know, if it's a HVAC unit, if it's the car, if it's something going on in the house, if it's a problem with a person or somebody that I'm dealing with, you know, identify the problem by eliminating possibilities. You know what? I have problems with my son. I'm like, hey bud, are you hungry? You know, simple little things. You know, identify the possibilities, identify the simplest things first, and then eliminate possibilities of other things. And that'll narrow down your search so that you can effectively fix the problem. And then once you know where the problem is and what's causing the problem, then you're empowered to either learn how to fix it or fix it if you already know how. So that's kind of my approach to problem solving and troubleshooting is, you know, check the simplest things first, then eliminate whatever possibilities you can eliminate quickly so that you can then focus on the problematic area and deal with the situation in an appropriate manner. So I hope that you guys found this video informative or entertaining in any way. If you did, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Let me know that you liked it. Leave a comment down in the section below. And yeah, we'll knock out this fan motor, hopefully get it running and cool down the house a little bit. I'm sure my wife will be eternally grateful for that. The upstairs is working, so the kids are happy. They stay in their rooms and stay cool, but the downstairs gets a little hot and muggy on these hot August days. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe to the channel, see more of what we have going on here on the Homestead. And we'll see you guys on the next video.